Okay, so today we're not going to talk about force. So this is the force. So let's see this video first.
11.2 Force.
We use forces every day. A force is a push or a pull on an object. Also, we apply a force when turning an object. For example, the force to turn the tap, the force to turn the switch on a fan, the force to pull open a door, the force to press a light switch.
We usually represent forces by drawing arrows. The arrow is drawn from where the force acts, and it points in the direction of the force. A longer arrow is used to represent a larger force.
How do forces affect the motion of objects?
Forces can change the speeds of objects, causing objects at rest to start moving, causing moving objects to move faster or slower, causing moving objects to stop. Also, forces can change the moving direction of objects.
Force 係緊力啊嘛，即係捉嘢
Forces can be measured using a spring balance. The unit of force is Newton.
Newton
And
and
A spring balance can measure pulling forces only. Forces can also be measured using a force sensor connected to a data
你
logger.
上邊啲嘢擺下邊啊嘛。
It can feed the data of the forces into a computer for further analysis. A force sensor can measure both pulling forces and pushing forces. Have you seen a loudspeaker that can float in mid-air?
咩嚟呢個？
擴音器咯
即係
，loudspeaker 即係點啊？將好似個咪咁樣咯，個咪將你個聲音放大咯。
It is supported by a
No
force
contact.
that requires no contact. Forces can be classified into contact forces
And non-contact force.
non-contact forces.
接觸落
Contact forces act on objects only when the objects are in contact.
例
拎起佢。
Non-contact forces are forces that can act at a distance. In other words,
喺佢
acting on
一個遠
objects
程
even when they are not in contact.
即係點啊？
For example,
唔係好明喎呢
嗱，首先你接觸性嘅 contact force 你明啦，即係譬如我而家捉住呢個嘢，接觸佢拎起放低，拎起升高升低，係咪係接觸緊我先使用緊個力，令到呢個嘢升高升低啊？咁但係有一種力咧就係唔使接觸嘅，嗰種力咧只不過係一個距離裡面發揮，喺個距離裡面咧去發揮嗰種力度嘅啫。而即係例如啦 ，acting and objects even when they are not in contact， 即係點解咧？譬如你個波，嗱見唔見到而家小朋友喺度拋波啊？個箭嘴咧升高，即係其實你將個波，譬如我首先咧一拋高，嗱呢下係你嘅 contact
個？
force 啦。嗱，第一下你拋高係 contact force 嚟嘅，
係啊，
但係當佢跌翻落嚟咧，
non-contact force。
但係點解佢會跌翻落嚟嘅？係都係一種力度入去落
Gravity 啊
嚟，
嘛
就係地
，gravity 啊嘛，
心引力咯。
係啊，
呢種都係 force 咯，你明唔明我講咩？
即係好似咁樣支筆，wheel
喂，
嗰啲。
整爛啊！你
呢
可唔可以唔好喺呢度玩啊？
我咁樣啫啦，
你第一都唔應該攞支筆掉，
咁樣啊，嗱，咁樣你
又接唔到，你掉乜嘢咧？究竟？所以咪叫你唔應該掉就咁解咯。你有冇渣啲啊？你 渣，你手眼協調好差，要得閒練啊！你手眼協調好差。
嗱，咁樣咧就叫接觸力，咁樣就叫非接觸力㗎啦。
唔係，嗱，你而家接觸佢掉上去啊嘛，係咪？
係。
咁依下你喐佢，咁樣譬如你喐佢，仲係掂住噶嘛，啱唔啱啊？係咪？咁但係落翻嚟咧，咁點解佢會落翻嚟嘅？佢唔一直向上嘅
？Gravity 唔係 gravity，
就係嗰種都係有一種力，
gravity，
但係嗰種力咧就係 long contact force，同埋佢係 add on 你 distance 有一個距離嘅。
我明啦。
明唔明白啊？
繼續。
The force of gravity pulling the ball down.
其實咧，佢係一直咁解釋俾你聽嗰啲嘢。
We can draw a free body diagram to show all the forces acting on an object. In this diagram, all the forces are shown by labelled arrows.
From the free body diagram, we can study the overall effect of the forces more easily.
Do you know what balanced forces and unbalanced forces are?
Balanced force 係平衡力啊，unbalanced force 係不平衡力。
Let's find out in the following examples. Two students are applying forces on the trolley.
哦，呢個我玩過啦。
If the force applied by the girl is equal to the force applied by the boy, the trolley stays at rest. Do you know what balanced forces and unbalanced forces are? Let's find out in the following examples. Two students are applying forces on the trolley. If the force applied by the girl is equal to the force applied by the boy, the trolley stays at rest. The forces are balanced. If balanced forces act on an object, it stays at rest or remains in uniform motion. If the boy on the right applies a larger force than the girl on the left, the trolley starts to move. The forces are unbalanced. If unbalanced
This is
forces
called
act on an
unbalanced force.
object, the motion of the object changes. Here are two examples of balanced forces and unbalanced forces in daily life. Balanced forces. A girl sitting on a sofa. Unbalanced forces. A sofa being moved to the right. Let's explore more in the lessons.
Okay, so let's go back to your book. 把片睇完，咁我去翻一本書。Okay, so turn to your book page 170. 170. So here are force. Okay. Okay, so yes, see this here. Okay, so let's do this sample.
唔明一定要問下我仲係知
So here I said I've tried windsurfing recently. So this sport involves force a lot. Okay, so in this session, we will learn about force and how force affects the motion of the object. So some basic idea. A force is a push or a pull of an object. Also, we apply a force when turning an object. So some examples are shown below. 我記住咗力啦，咁力就係一個 push 或者一個拉動嘅一樣物件就係叫做力啦。咁呢個係最基本嘅 idea 啦。So it's the basic idea of force. So winds 又係好似 windsurfing。大家滑浪風帆係其實係要靠個人啦，睇個風速啊方向嘅。因為本身自己係冇力，滑浪風帆 ，OK。佢食得佢啊。Okay. So some basic ideas, the force applied to put paper towel, the force applied to turn the switch of a fan, the force applied to pull open the door, the force applied to turn the tap, the force applied to press a light switch, the force applied to shot a basketball. So you can refer to your for page 170 there pictures. Okay, so we usually represent force by drawing arrows. So do you know what's meaning of drawing arrows? So arrows 先箭在啦。Okay, the arrow is drawn from the okay. Oh. Okay, so let's do the key point. So force. The force is a push or is a push. Is a push or a pull on an object, okay? Okay, so how do force affect the motion of objects？咁就點樣影響到嗰個object 嘅運動咧，物件嘅喐動咧？咁我哋睇一睇咯。So from the activity 11.5, so you learned about the effect of force on the motion of the objects. Force can change the speed of the objects, causing very important, causing moving objects to move faster or slower. Move objects at rest to start moving, moving objects to stop, or changes the moving direction of the object 可以能夠去改變物件嘅速度啦，令到個物件咧可以喐快或者喐慢啲啦，或者令到嗰個物件咧係停喺度嘅，或者係完全唔喐嘅 rest， 或者去可以改變到個物件嘅方向嘅。咁啊就話其實原來 force 咧 force。 係 force are affected by motion. Okay. So force is affected by motion. Okay. So here is the photo. Okay, so force can change the what?
其實咧有冇分唔分到 motion 同個 force？
Okay, so force can change the
通常啲人得閒咧。
okay. Speed. And movement. So force can be measured using a spring balance. 首先is shown at the video. Spring balance 即係講一個彈簧秤啊，彈簧秤。So the unit is N Newton. Takes about 1 N to force to lift an apple. 即係需要用1 N 嘅就可以拎起個蘋果啦。Okay. So force can also be measured using a force sensor.
盡力冇飲多啲水，揸實揸實，我放度自搞啦。唔好成日睇呢個太少水啦。
Okay, force can also may be measured using a force sensor connected to a data logger. The data logger can transmit set of measured by force sensor into a computer for further analysis. So a force sensor can measure the both pulling force and pushing force, while a spring balance can measure pulling force only. Okay, so let's learn how to use a spring balance to measure force in the experiment below.
我想問咧，點解你睇翻本書？
Okay, so let's assume the experiment 11.3.
波波摸摸，科了。
Hey.
Check that the reading on the spring balance is 0. If not, use the zero adjuster to adjust the position of the scale so that the reading is 0.
要首先要將個彈簧秤要校到係0啊。So turn the spring balance to 0.
Attach a spring to the hook of the spring balance. Then stretch the spring by 5 centimeters.
即係校至5 cm 到5 centimeters.
Measure the applied force and record the reading. Repeat the
然之後
previous step by
spring by
stretching
6
the
cm,
spring by
7,
6
8, 9,
centimeters, 7 centimeters,
8,
8 centimeters,
9,
9 centimeters, and 10 centimeters. Record your results.
Okay. So what is the relationship between the applied force of the spring and stretch length of the spring? So you can see that when the strength length is about 5 centimeters, the applied force is 0.5. So when the spring length is 6, the applied force is 0.6. 7 is 0.7. 8 is 0.8. 9 is 0.9. I'm sorry, 0.9. 10 is 1. 1. Okay. So so you don't need to plot the graph. Okay. So let's see checkpoint 11.3. So when we use an arrow to represent force, a longer arrow represents a larger force. Correct, true. But then force the both represent force is force. Okay. So you can draw the arrows. Okay, so we will part D, we will learn about the contract force and non-contract force. Did you look basically as shown in the videos? I don't repeat it. So we will learn about this require no contract. So let's see in this experiment 11.4, studying a force that can act an object without contract. 就佢哋係睇一個點樣可以能夠 act with an object without contract 係唔會 contract 嘅。So let's see. So 究竟 contract force 同 non-contract force 係咩嚟嘅咧？咪就睇一睇啦。So let's see this experiment.
Okay, class, who would like to do problem 3 on the board?
Place 2 ring magnets on the bench. Both magnets should have their south poles facing up. Use one magnet to push the other away.
試隻啊，magnet。
Do the magnets need to come into contact? Arrange the setup shown. The north poles of the magnets are facing each other. Let the upper magnet rest above the lower one. Then press the upper magnet down a little bit and release it. What happens to the upper magnet?
Look, you can see it's moving.
Do the magnets make contact? Arrange the setup shown. The north poles of both magnets are facing up. The lower magnet is around 1 centimeter below the cardboard. Move the lower magnet to the right slowly. What happens to the upper magnet? Do the magnets need to make contact?
Okay, so in the experiment 11.4, so we've observed that a magnet can extend a force for another magnet even if they do not contract each other. So force can be classified into into contact force and non-contact force. Contact force as an object only when the objects are in contact. So remember, and on the other hand, there are force that can act in distance hay correlate. Yeah. So like you acting an object even when they are not in contact, these force are called non-contact force hay phi tiếp xúc lực. So for example, the magnetic force and the force of gravity, you will learn about the force of gravity in section 11.3 are non-contact force. Okay, so force can exist only between objects in contact are called contact force. So this is called non-contact force. Okay. So balanced force and unbalanced force, 平衡力 and 不平衡力啊。So have you ever seen scrum in rugby? So in a scrum, the rugby players push hard and apply large force, but none of them can move. This related to the concept you will learn about in this session, balanced force. Okay, so we can draw a free body diagram to show all the force acting on an object. So in this diagram, all the forces are shown by labeled arrows. From the free body diagram, we can study the overall effect of force more easily. So number 2, motions of objects under balanced force and then under the unbalanced force. So let's see in this experiment 11.5, studying the overall effect of force on the motion of an object.
Part A. Keeping a trolley at rest. Place a trolley on the bench and hook 2 spring balances to the trolley. Student A applies a force on the trolley, and student B applies a force to keep it at rest. Measure the applied forces and record the results. Repeat the steps by applying a larger
咁就
force.
一邊大啲嘅時候咧，咁你咁架車就真係唔喐啦。Trolley will move. Okay.
Hook 1 more spring balance to the trolley.
整多一嚿落去，呢部發生咩事
3
咧
students
Wow,
apply
3
forces on
students.
the trolley to keep it at rest.
So what will happen to the trolley?
Measure the forces and record the results. Repeat the steps by 2 students on the right, applying different forces. Part B. Keeping a trolley moving at a constant speed. Set up the apparatus as shown. Weight P. Pulley, string. motion sensor, data logger and computer. Air track, glider. Pulley. Weight Q, same mass as P. Air
Air
pump.
pump.
Turn on the air pump. Give the glider a short, gentle push. Observe the distance time graph of the glider.
So in the experiment 11.5, we have learned that the force acting on the trolley can be perfectly balanced by another force of the same magnitude in the opposite direction. So these are called balanced force. So when balanced force acts on an object at rest, the object will stay at rest. So when balanced force acting on a moving object, the object's speed and direction of motion will remain the same. In other words, the object will be in uniform motion. Except on the concrete so that in 11.1 uniform motion. Okay. So on the other hand, when unbalanced force acts on an object, the motion of the object will change. The object will stay at rest. So this key point, please underline it. So bring the key point. Okay. It's called balanced force. Okay, so I've already covered 11.2 force. So let's see. So we have some homework to do today. So I would like you to complete the force Google form. I've already posted. So there are three 5 MC question. So 50 marks. So the due date is on the so okay. It's on the April, Friday, April. Oh, okay. So 25:59, then 50 marks. So I assign the homework. So please complete this Google form for Google form. Okay. So you do not need to watch the video, but just do it as a quiz. Okay. So that's all for today. So if not any question, so I will stop it here. So next time I will talk about gravity. And also, so also I will ask you to complete like you to complete the integrated exercise, unit 10. So it's about the due date is on the 9th of May. Okay. So total 50 marks. So it's for revision.